How to challenge a SMURFs 1v5 in lower elos? How come they can win in 15 minutes without any stress, and I can't? Is it luck? Is it the brand of their keyboard? Or maybe the brightness of their monitor? What's up, GameLeap? Oh, the gist, and in today's video, we will be watching a 97% win rate IRELIA challenge a SMURF playing 2 games in Platinum and Diamond elo, and we will reveal what it is that this player does to easily carry games. So in 10 or so minutes, you will have exactly the same tools this guy has to carry your own games just as hard. So let's get into it, and this first game we'll be analyzing is against a Diamond 3 Riven. She won't look it, and the first thing this challenger SMURF IRELIA doesn't do is auto-attack the wave like he's on acid. The reason for this is because he's scared of Lee Sin ganking top after doing his red buff. You can see him on the minimap here. So he simply waits for these 3 melee minions to get low, blade surges to last hit all 3, but why not jump on Riven? This would be 4 passive stacks and 100% winning trade. Well, again, he does not want to engage in extended trades just in case the enemy jungler decides to gank in the near future. So preserving HP is important, and this is a very safe way of playing, and sometimes not dying is as worth as killing your opponent. This is why he places his trinket in the river brush, so he eliminates all the potential cheese. Now this next tip will help every single one of you, because in the early levels in the top lane, cooldowns and minions are huge factors. So before IRELIA wants to last hit this minion, he knows that Riven has her Q ready. So instead of auto attacking this minion, he Qs onto it to get a little bit of attack speed, auto attacks Riven immediately after, and this might be a little scary now because Riven is about to full combo this SMURF, but he simply runs back. This means that Riven has to spend time chasing IRELIA and therefore can't auto attack as much because she's spending time moving. The enemy minions have to do the same, and Riven is also being drawn towards IRELIA's side of the lane and in turn her own minion aggro. Never ever stand still when you are trading. Now I said cooldowns were a huge factor in the top lane, and Riven just used all of her broken wings in that trade, and IRELIA's blade surge is off cooldown. This is why IRELIA isn't scared of auto attacking Riven again, and it's also why Riven backs off this wave, knowing she doesn't have the power to 1v1 because she's on cooldown. As a result, Riven is not contesting the wave, which means the fight for the push in level 2 is in IRELIA's favor. So on every other champion, as you are about to hit level 2, you would want to be hitting that spike as close to Riven as possible. But because IRELIA is IRELIA, you can almost bait the enemy champion into thinking they are safe by running away from that last hit, and bang, you blade surge to hit level 2, and because your Q resets, if Riven was standing in range, you can jump onto her straight after. The problem with doing this though is that you allow your opponent to remain in experience range of the minions, simply because you didn't zone them hard enough with that level 2 advantage. So when Riven hits level 2, it's less obvious who wins, and this is why IRELIA starts auto-attacking the next wave, because this is level 3. Another really important power spike, so hitting it first is a very nice bonus, and that's what happens. But Riven is so far away, it's almost impossible to actually start a fight, so IRELIA does a really cool trick. Can you see this minion? Well, Riven is going to want to last hit this minion, and because IRELIA has all 3 cooldowns and the level advantage, giving up this 21 gold for free would be giga troll. So he baits Riven into last hitting it by standing back and quickly blade surges in and tries to catch Riven unaware. Now Riven escapes, but she uses her E and Q to do so, and because we still have our Q available, as soon as Riven uses her 3rd Q, we can blade surge to this minion to close that space and to reset its cooldown, and then Q onto the cooldownless Riven. A lot of cooldowns. Riven gets chunked as a result, but jizz, IRELIA is on cooldown here. That's right, she is, and Riven's cooldowns will be back up very soon. But when you have an HP dip as big as this one, a minion wave as big as this one, and a level lead, cooldowns have much less of a sway in who wins that fight. So IRELIA positions at that collision point of the minion waves, pretty much saying to Riven, bro, if you move up to contest this wave, you are hitting the deck. And guess what ends up happening? Yeah, Riven contests the wave and dies. And this is a Diamond 3 player. Now some people after this might be tempted to last hit this tower for plates and ego, but do not, under any circumstances, do this when you are this low HP and the enemy top laner has teleport. Use the free time you have to recall, buy your items, and get straight back in lane. This means you miss the least amount of minions as possible. Now you might be wondering, but if Riven teleports, shouldn't IRELIA teleport? Well, if the wave was in the middle of the lane and hard pushing into IRELIA, yes, but it's on Riven's side of the lane and it is slow pushing into IRELIA here. So she can just save her teleport for later, knowing she isn't going to miss that much anyway, and there is a possibility that the enemy jungler is topside again, so TPing back to this wave could result in death. But Lee Sin shows bot side of the map, so why doesn't IRELIA fight the Riven? Well, these enemy minions are like a champion because they would do that much damage. So if IRELIA jumps in, she would essentially be 1v2ing, and there is too much risk involved, so she lets Riven push the wave, and this move results in another solo kill. When Riven Qs these last few minions, it looks innocuous, but she pushes it harder than she has to, and the waves collide closer to IRELIA's tower. Now remember, Riven is behind in this lane, so being further away from her own tower and safety carries even more weight. And at this point, IRELIA kills a couple of minions to trim the wave so it's easier to manage, and as soon as Riven starts off this fight and uses all her Qs and W, IRELIA has an easy kill. But watch this Q Q for me. This Aurelia waits until Riven's shield has gone before blade surging. This is essential because you never want your biggest source of damage to be blocked. You want to be hitting the enemy's HP bar. Now what's crazy about this next sequence is that Riven is going to die again without getting a CS, and it starts with slow pushing your minions towards your opponent's tower. That's slow pushing, not hard pushing. And you do this until that minion wave collision is on Riven's side of the lane, as you can see here. And this is when you can hard push. As a result, Aurelia's minion wave is the size of EU West, and even though Katarina is here for the dive, Aurelia could dive the Riven herself. Level 7 versus level 5 with this big of a wave under the tower, it's an easy win. Just remember that situations like this start with that simple decision to slow push. Now, how many of you would auto attack the tower in this spot? Don't lie, come on. I mean, I probably would, I'm from Os. But the reason this is just such a waste of time, even if the enemy Lee Sin wasn't here, is because spending that time to get back on the map sooner after recalling is far more valuable than overstaying in lane. Unless you need the gold from the tower plates, you leave them alone. Now, in the next game, Challenger SMURF is against a much weaker Nasus in the early game, and he does exactly the same thing. He does not auto attack the first 3 melee minions, just blade surges to last hit. And if I pause it, what do you think Nasus is looking at? 14 gold from this minion, right? Aurelia obviously doesn't want to let the dog have this for free, so auto attacks him in return. This CS pressuring is vital to use if you want to be a top laner. Now Aurelia ends up auto attacking this range minion a couple of times and then Qs it. That was a bit random, but this is to secure the minion advantage, and in the not so distant future, level 2 before Nasus. But even before that stage, because Nasus is a heck of a lot weaker than Riven at level 1, Aurelia can even dive onto him in his minion wave and win trades. If you are to do this though, it is a good idea to save a minion as an escape route. Now when he does hit level 2, he tries the same trick with Susan. He runs back before queuing back in, trying to bait the Nasus, but again, the downside of doing this is that Nasus can just stay in XP range, and it's not really that bad for him. A better strategy would be just to stand beyond the enemy range minions so you can zone the enemy champion off the wave and actually deny that experience. Now Challenger SMURF makes another little mistake here, and it's not lane ending. He still crushes this Nasus, but by not hard pushing this cannon wave as quickly as possible, the next minion wave gets held up under Susan's tower. And if Aurelia was to recall here, she might even miss all of this wave if she doesn't teleport back. So if we rewind, the correct play is to hard push as soon as this cannon wave gets into the lane. This means auto attacking as much as you can, using your abilities on as many minions as possible, and by doing this your own minion wave will die faster and therefore create space for that next wave to bounce back to the middle. Now when Aurelia does return to the lane, what does she have that Nasus doesn't? An extra buy, that's right. So in terms of items and gold spent, she is winning easily and can outduel the Nasus. And because Nasus overstays on his starting items, even though he has the minion advantage, it means nothing when your opponent has more items and is inherently stronger than you early on. Nasus has to flash away as a result and dies on the next wave. Now this was all possible simply because Aurelia based, enhanced her power by spending her gold, and punished the Nasus for not doing the same. But look, we've caught her in the act. But hitting this tower plate is fine because she needs that 160 gold for a recurve bow. Now as you're liking the video and subscribing to the channel because these guides are just that broken, Aurelia is about to solo kill this poor Nasus for a second time. Now just a quick tip, whenever you see a cannon wave, think of level 3 and level 6. If you haven't missed a ton of experience at that point, you get your ultimate on this second cannon wave. And because Aurelia at this point has the level lead, a massive item advantage, and is just much stronger than Nasus early game, she pounces on a level up and the Nasus and takes him down. And what these clips tell you is that what you actually do when you fight the enemy champion is important for sure, but what's even more important is what you do before that fight takes place, be it with the minion wave or your positioning. And speaking of the minion wave, what do you think Aurelia can do here to just seal the victory? Well, it has everything to do with the fact that the enemy minion wave will freeze in front of her tower, and with a lead as big as this one, Nasus might as well uninstall the game. But instead, she shoves, fair enough, but again, does not waste her time by auto-attacking the tower for gold she does not need. Recall ASAP and you will win ASAP. This allows Aurelia to return to the lane to stop Nasus from just free farming and put him further in the dirt. And by applying the tips and tricks in this video, you can do exactly the same in the top lane in your games. And for even more learning resources made by our very own Challenger players and coaches, make sure you check out our website linked in the description and comment section. If you want to master a role, a champion, a class of champion, we have the courses and guides you need for Season 11. And until tomorrow's upload, this has been the